depression for a while when I was working full-time, stressful job. Then my mother passed away, and then my special needs sister I was helping more with, so I had a lot of challenges. And I got to the point where I would get stabbing pains, very localized in my gut, low energy. I'd lost interest in a lot of the things I used to do. And I just couldn't live that way anymore. It was ready. Time for a change. I've gone to some psychologists, probably as early as my 20s. And I talked. It was talked to a few people, and it was supportive. It kind of gave me emotional support, but no help really.
No cure of the depression.
No. Mm-mm.
But it got you through. It's like, a band-aid during difficult periods.
Yeah.
What's been your experience with medications?
I'd say that was huge. Yeah, with the medications, as you know, it took us at least 2 years to work together and get me to a place where I was stable and I would say functioning fairly well, as best as I thought I ever could be. Zoloft and Lexapro, those worked okay. Yeah.
And then we went to combination.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we added Wellbutrin, right?
Yeah, and Wellbutrin helped my. I was a little more positive.
Energy and motivation.
Yeah.
And then I think we switched the SSRI to an SNRI. Didn't we do Cymbalta?
Yeah, and I do think Cymbalta helped with kind of the pain aspects of things. So that helped a lot.
Did it get the depression under control? Did you have side effects? What was it?
Yeah, I would say that the depression was under control, and so I felt like good. I can function and have a relative quality of life. But then, as soon as we kind of found the magic dose for me, then I was starting to get some side effects, and then those were not so good. I think we wanted to see if we could get rid of those side effects.
The good news, though, is the combination worked.
Yep.
But you ended up with a bunch of side effects that affected the quality of your life.
Yeah.
Now, did those side effects get better with time, or were you just stuck with them for a while?
I was stuck with them, and I was like, okay.
To kind of set the stage, so among a bunch of medication for a few years, we managed to find a combination that worked on the symptoms, but you felt. Now, were there any residual problems with the depression when you were on optimal dose of medication, or were you completely happy? I know we had the side effects.
Yeah.
But were you pretty happy on a day-to-day basis?
I thought I was.
Okay. Now, do you think otherwise, now that you're
Yes.
Okay, so I want to have you share with me that, because it's often that people who have depression learn to live with a certain level of unhappiness until it goes away and they look back and say, oh my God.
Yes.
So let's look at that now that you've been through TMS, and we're going to talk about TMS in more detail.
Okay.
But what have you recognized as you look back at the period of thinking that medication was doing everything possible?
I would say what we had achieved and I thought was, great. I'm, out of the dark. I'd say now I was at like a C level. It was fine. It was average. It was okay. Nothing bad was going to happen. But not exactly trudging through life, but, walking along through life. And that was okay. And then we did the TMS, and I would say after like the second treatment, I started feeling more energy. I'd be home and I'd be like, oh, well, why don't I do that, And different things that I used to feel like, okay, well, that's a project and that's a project, and when I have the time. But also I didn't want to overwhelm myself, like get in too far, or oh, well, that might trigger something. So I still was kind of hesitant, But then with more energy, I was like, oh, well, why don't I do it? And I wouldn't get overwhelmed, and I'd just keep doing it, and then I was able to do more, and so I kind of felt like I was kind of coming out from under a rock. And
So you had accepted a C, to use your own words, until you discovered there's an A.
Yeah.
Are you at an A now?
Yes.
Great. And how did you decide on TMS, at transcranial magnetic stimulation, and what finally was the point that made you decide that's what you want to do?
I learned of it through you in your office, and I looked at it some, and I just felt like things were fine, but if they could be better, that would be great. And I was hoping some of the side effects would either go away, or with TMS I'd reach a level where we could begin to reduce some meds, and that's kind of the point we're at now, is I'm almost done with the TMS, and we have reduced some of my meds, and I'm hoping that'll be, I think, what we work on next would be dropping some meds. And to be honest, literally managing all my meds, the number of meds, they're each due at different times. I mean, me and my pharmacist are like this, and I would love to be able to have that. I mean, that's kind of another stressor.
So once you started the TMS, what did you find, what's been your experience like?
Okay, other than the greater energy, I would say...
So you had a lot of energy quickly?
Yes, just after like 2 treatments.
2 treatments.
And then, as you know, it was daily initially, so I'd be driving down, and I'd gotten used to a level of anxiety driving. It used to be I couldn't leave my driveway.
I think we should talk a little bit about that, because you're a highly motivated person. Every day you drive 30 miles each way.
Yeah.
Just to make that happen, and you requested the first appointment.
Yep,
so you leave at the crack of dawn, literally, to get here and be motivated. And you've been consistent every single day of the treatment.
It was worth it. Even after 2 sessions, I'm like, well, if it's this good already, I'm happy to drive and do that.
Wonderful.
But I would feel like people would come in my lane. I always felt like very much on guard. People on cell phones and this and that, driving by braille, and so I felt like I really had to be on guard. And I would watch people's tires, see if they're coming over into my lane. And I just noticed driving down here, I wasn't really worried about that anymore.
Now that's very important. What you're telling me is something that we don't classically associate with depression, but you're telling me that comfort and security in your driving ability, not being tense and on edge, improved through the TMS.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're now at, at 20 treatments today, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
So how do you feel? What's different about you now today? How do you feel differently now that you've been through the TMS treatment? What's different about you?
I would say I'm like happy, not just fine. I'm happy, more relaxed, more energy, and I'm enjoying. My enjoyment in life is amazing. It's unbelievable. It really is.
So the other questions is, have you had any side effects with this since you started TMS?
No.
None.
No. I'd say the first or second time, it's a feeling you've not felt before.
Exactly. The tapping on your head.
Yeah.
I remember some discomfort.
Yeah. I take ibuprofen in the morning, like an hour before I'm here, and I'd say at least the 4th or 5th time, it wasn't pain, it was a feeling, and the benefit compared to a little tap was...
So how many days did you take the ibuprofen? Just
I'm still taking it just because I figured it works. Yeah.
So obviously, for medical reasons, you want to make sure you back off that.
Yeah.
Now that you're done with the treatment.
Yeah. I know this sounds incredible, but I would say if you're even considering doing it, do it. It is well worth it.
A lot of the reason people hesitate sometimes is cost.
Yeah.
And I'm sure cost was a consideration in your case also.
Yeah.
Now that you've had the results you have, has it been a cost-effective treatment, and in what way would you say? Would you do it again? Would you do it earlier? What have you learned from that?
I would do it as soon as possible. Money can't buy you happiness or the wellness, the level of joy that this brings. The level of well-being, it's really priceless.
And you and I communicate very well, so if we need, we're gonna, at this point, just taper you off and watch carefully
Right.
and follow you, and I know you will contact me if we feel that there's any slippage, and then
Right.
we'll jump at it, but
Right.
I'm very excited for you because I think you've done so well,
Yeah.
and the prognosis looks really good.
I know.
So Jean,
it's
thank
exciting.
you so much for both giving me the pleasure of being your doctor and seeing you blossom
Yes.
at the level you didn't even think possible.
No, not at all.
I mean, because remember, your goals were to get back to a C,
Yeah.
not an
Yeah.
A and A plus.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
a nice fringe benefit.
It is.
So thank you, and I look forward to being here and seeing further progress.
Thank you. Me too.
Thank you.